I had actually applied before graduating, so I was pretty happy that they had given me the scholarship, because I was in my last semester, so I didn't have my final statement of results. I didn't even have some exams passed yet for the final semester. But what I did is I wrote a letter. I told them these are the courses that I have left, and you can see my performance from all the other courses. I'm going to finish these courses. I basically explained my situation. So much, Anita. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here and just to be able to share my experience in the hopes that it motivates or inspires somebody out there who's thinking to make a similar decision. My name is Ngosa. Yeah, I am currently a master's student in energy engineering. So that's at the University of Padova in Italy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation. So it sort of just happened. My story now, I'm living here in Padova, but my story begins in Zambia. I didn't mention. I am of Zambian origin, and I grew up there. I studied there, and I had the opportunity to study in Algeria through a government scholarship, electrical engineering. And so while I was there in Algeria, towards the end of my studies, I came across the website. I was thinking of how I was going to pursue higher education, what I was going to do, what kind of opportunities were out there after my bachelor's degree. And so I happened to come across Universitali and different other websites that are associated with the Italian universities. And finally, for my course, I came across University of Padova, which was one of the oldest and best universities in this particular field. So that already intrigued me. You may have heard maybe of Galileo, famous scientist. He was actually a professor at the University of Padova. So that was like one thing that stuck in my mind during that time. And so after this, I started first with the application. Normally, like I think you've talked about that a lot on the Apply UniPD websites, the different websites that are there. I applied for the application, and I started looking for funding opportunities, because probably something that most of other students can relate with. It is not easy to just say tomorrow I'm going to Europe and I'm going to start studying there without any kind of financial support. And so I was looking for what were the means and methods. And on the website, I came across the Maeci scholarship and many other scholarships that were there: university scholarship, regional scholarship. And the Maeci scholarship stood out to me the most. And I decided, I think I'm going to try with this scholarship. And then fast forward, I'm here today, just through searching on the internet, and then eventually I came across it. I also watched many videos and things like that, and so it was like a whole research process behind it. But I'm glad that there's now resources like yours that make it easy for people to find out about these kinds of opportunities. I mean, yeah, when you talk about it now, it sounds easy, but it was a bit challenging in the beginning. Just the same way that anything that is valuable, anything that's worth pursuing is challenging, usually in the beginning. And so I mean, I went through the application process on the website and I got the admission. And now the next step was the scholarship and then the visa. And so, I mean, perhaps we'll talk about more about the scholarship later, but the most challenging process was also with the visa, because since you asked what is your story, for me, this was, I think, the most challenging thing for me, because I had applied around 3 times and I was rejected for the visa, you know? And so it did take a lot of like determination and perseverance. Like, I really need to get this. I really want to get this. I want to achieve this. I applied the first time, the second time, it was rejected. The third time, it was rejected until I got the acceptance letter from the Maeci scholarship, and also the Maeci scholarship people had to write something to say, "Yo, this is our student, please." And that is how I was given the visa to come to Italy. So all of that just to say that, of course, there's many challenges that might come your way, but what I have gotten in exchange for the challenges that I had to face to get here is much more worthwhile. You know, having to get an education at basically a world class university, being exposed to all these opportunities that are here around. You know, you're free to move around throughout the European Union, Germany, France, and look for opportunities there, the kind of exposure. It's definitely worth it. And anybody who is thinking about making that kind of a decision, I would really recommend that they go through with it despite the initial challenges they might face, bureaucratic challenges and whatnot. So, yeah, I had applied to two universities here in Italy first. I applied to the University of Padua and also to the University of Pavia. And I got because Pavia is a slightly smaller university, so I think they have less international students. I got the response quickly after a couple of weeks. But I was still waiting for the one at Padova, and the one at Padova took long, took around 4 to 6 weeks. I had actually even started to forget about it. I was like, yeah, these guys are never going to call me. But they did. They sent me an email. You have been given the admission, and I was excited about that. I was saying, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. So now, when it comes to Maeci scholarship, I'm reading through the instructions, and I saw it came out around June. It usually comes out around beginning of June. They did ask as one of the requirements, at least during that time, for the admission letter. So you had to be admitted to an Italian university and then use that to apply. I have heard also from some other scholars that they had applied without necessarily having the admission. I don't know if that is an exception for some countries or for some students. I'm not very sure how that works. But in my case, I did have the admission to the university. And then I applied using the admission, saying, I have this admission. I'm ready to go. I'm motivated. You know, just give me the support. And yeah, just give me the support. I promise I'll do you proud. And so, yeah, so that was sort of my process up to the time I had applied. And then so I applied in June and I had to wait until end of August for a response from them. It took quite a bit of time. So after the response in around August, I was called for an interview. I was called for an interview, and yeah, yeah, the interview went well. I mean, maybe we can talk about that also. But I was called for the interview, and then after that, around a month, I was given the official scholarship letter. So that was sort of how my process was, let's say, in that moment. Yeah. So the year I had applied for the scholarship was 2021. Yeah, 2021. So 2021, I graduated from my bachelor's. I had actually applied before graduating, you know, so I was pretty happy that they had given me the scholarship because I was in my last semester, so I didn't have my final statement of results. I didn't even have some exams passed yet for the final semester. But what I did is I wrote a letter. I told them these are the courses that I have left, and you can see my performance from all the other courses. I'm going to finish these courses. I basically explained my situation, and so my degree was finally ready towards the end of September, beginning of November. So I was a little bit late, but it's just to say that even if you haven't finally completed your studies, you can still apply, and they do consider that as well. Wow. Yeah. So it was, I mean, it was a little nerve wracking, okay, because so what happened is I received an email, of course, from the Zambian embassy in Italy. So the Maeci scholarship, maybe for somebody hearing for the first time, it is a scholarship offered by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And the basic purpose of the scholarship is to promote international exchange in culture, in science, and in technology. That's sort of one of their main aims. And also, they have the objective of promoting Italian culture and Italian language and things like that. And so, that is sort of the context of what the scholarship is about. And usually, the people who do the interviewing are the Italian embassy from your home country. So, for example, in my case, I received an email from the Italian embassy in Zambia saying, "Hey, Ngosa, we want to talk to you, and let's figure out if you're a good match for the scholarship." The Maeci scholarship in general is quite competitive compared to, let's say, the regional scholarship, because the regional scholarship is the Maeci scholarship is based solely on your academic performance, your motivation, your goals, and things like that, while the regional scholarship has got an element of your economic status, so it's slightly easier to get. During that time in the waiting room, it is quite competitive, but at the same time, and this is maybe something I'd like to mention, we were few people in there. I think the people that I remember were four, at least for that day. I'm not sure if that's the total number, but at least at that day, there was four Zambian students, I remember. And the thing that I see from that is that most students don't know about these opportunities, because very few people from some countries apply. Remember, this scholarship is done by the Italian embassy of the person in that country. So from Zambia, you have Italian embassy in Zambia. From, I don't know, Ethiopia, you have Italian embassy in Ethiopia that handles the recruitment process. But just to say that these amazing scholarships that can allow you to study, but many people do not make use of them. They do not utilize them. And so this is also something I'd like to encourage people that, there's a lot of opportunities out there in Italy, not only in Italy, but in Europe in general, and in all places around the world. And what you need to do is spend some time to search and find out what these opportunities are about, how they fit with your goals, and whether you can take advantage of them. And so, yeah, in that moment, there was, I think, four that I remember in that waiting room. Just to mention that the scholarship is competitive in the sense that they really scrutinize your application. They really scrutinize your motivation. They were asking me specifics of things I had mentioned in my motivation. I remember the question about my project. It was a really sort of it was a very detailed kind of question, as well as my transcript of results. They asked me about certain courses I did, why I performed this way in this course, and things like that. So it's rigorous in that way. Coming to the next question of how much time it took around, let's say, I got the interview beginning of August, if I remember well, beginning of August, and then I got the response towards the end of September. So more or less 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that. Yeah, so that is how long it took for me to get a response and then to get the official letter stating that I had gotten the scholarship. Yeah. You do need to have a proof of funds aside from just the scholarship. In my experience, the first time I applied with just some of the savings that I had for myself. So I said, this is what I have in my bank. And I applied the first time with that. And I was rejected for that reason, because they said, this is not enough. Also, this is just the money in your bank. So I said, okay, I'm going to try again. This time I'm going to use the money in my parents' bank. So I applied for the second time using the money in my parents' account, and it wasn't enough. They typically ask for, I'm not sure if it has changed now, maybe somewhere 6,000, 7,000 euros for you to have that in your bank account. But aside from having that static money in your account, they also look at your bank transactions for a couple of months prior. So 3 to 6 months, and they want to see the kind of cash flow that you have in your bank account, because it's not, you somebody could borrow money from people and just put it in the account in that day, but they want to know that you really are financially capable of taking care of yourself. And so that is something that you might want to think about when you're showing your proof of funds. However, third time, I think maybe third or fourth time, I don't know, because at that point I was really just trying and going there almost every day. But I think the third or fourth time I went there, that was the time I had received the official letter from the Maeci scholarship. So I told them, okay, here is my scholarship. And also, here are the funds in my account, and here are the funds in my parents' account. So I think that with all of this, there should not be any reason for you to not give me the visa. And that day I went there, I received the acceptance like 2 hours later, 3 hours later, you know. Yeah. Yeah. So they are quite strict in the sense that they want you the scholarship. For sure you need to have the scholarship, but aside from that, if you have other funds, because the scholarship, remember, also not only for the visa reasons, but for your reasons, for your own safety, also how are you, for your own sustenance, because when you come to Italy, let's say you come, the semester begins in October, and the first disbursement of the scholarship is in December. So you've got those 3 4 months to organize yourself. You need to know what you're going to eat, where you're going to stay. You've got things you need to pay for, like your permit, your student permit, your health insurance. So there are those things that you might need to cover before the scholarship comes. So it's important that you have the scholarship, and if you have your own funds, and if you have some people that can guarantee that they're going to be there to support you financially. And I think that combination is what was enough for them to quickly give me the visa I needed. Yeah. It was like a feeling of relief, that okay, I'm here now. This is something that I had been hoping for, something I've been working towards. Now I've got it, and now I need to start fighting a different challenge. I need to start pushing myself in different ways. Okay, I've gotten this far by pushing myself. Now I'm in a new place, so I need to push myself even further, because everything is going to be new, culture wise, academic wise, also the education system. But then overall, I had a very good experience in Italy. It was easy for me to go around, meet people, and study as well. So at that moment, I was just relieved, excited, and just hopeful and optimistic for everything that was going to come next. Really, at that point, yeah. Yeah, I did renew it towards the end of my first year. Yeah, I did renew towards the end of my first year, and I already had passed some exams. In my experience, I don't know if it was just for me or for my country, or maybe that's just how it is. I think that's just how it is. There isn't a very strong emphasis on the credits, the number of credits, but it's more so you just showing that consistent dedication to your studies. Let's say uh, how, of course, credits, but also some of the activities that you're participating. Because remember again, what the objective of the scholarship is. It's about cultural, scientific, technological exchange. Okay, and so towards the end of June, July, in my first year, I had to have a call with the Italian embassy in Zambia, of course, to discuss the renewing of the scholarship. And so she asked me quite a number of questions. She asked me how I was doing, what number of credits I had. I needed to show her, of course. And more so, she was interested in how I was living my life, what kinds of things was I doing, what kinds of extracurricular activities was I involved in. So I told them, I've been taking some Italian lesson classes, I've been participating in different kinds of activities in the university and also around the city. And so, yeah, basically it was like a short interview. Really, I would just call it a short conversation, and that was enough for me to renew my scholarship. So my experience has been overall very positive and very good. I would say studying in Padova, first of all, it's very conducive for studies in terms of the resources available to you. I'll speak, let's say, from the engineering background, because that is what I'm doing. I'm in the Department of Industrial Engineering, so we work a lot with machines, and we work a lot with big machines, and we work a lot with computer softwares. And so you find that all of these resources are usually available if you need certain kind of computer softwares that you need to calculate or to design some systems. It's always there. The libraries are always there. You've got several study rooms are dotted around the city, as well as the professors. I think that the professors are usually very, very, very kind and very available to, talk to you, to clarify things with you. And so on the academic side, for me, I don't really have anything much to complain about. I would say though that the examination system, the way they do their exams, could be a little bit intense, and so you need to prepare very well for your exams. So in my case, for example, I had some courses where I have a written exam, and then I have a project I need to submit in that exam, and then I have an oral exam where I need to go and speak one on one with the professor, and he's going to ask me questions. And a mixture of two or three or all of those options for different exams. And they really test you, and they really make sure that you understand what you are doing, or else you don't pass the exam. But the good thing is also you have a number of chances to repeat the exam. So you, in the year, you could have 4 or 5 chances to repeat the same exam, and so you have, let's say, enough time to learn what you need to learn. So academic wise, my story has been overall positive. I think also on the extracurricular side, it's been quite eventful. I think just by virtue of me studying at this university, I have had many opportunities that I've had the privilege to participate in. I've participated in some projects, that have to do with African rural electrification in Africa. So the one project that was called LEDs for Africa, basically using solar energy to power some small villages in different countries, which was something that was, let's say, interesting for me. I had the privilege to attend different courses at different universities in Germany. I had the privilege to take some free courses there. In Venice, also take some free courses there, to attend some conferences, And now, let's say I'm doing an internship because I am doing my master's. I should be graduating soon this year. So I'm doing my internship with thesis. And that's also been, let's say, a big game changer for me in terms of learning and experience. And yeah, so basically, just to sum it up, there's really a lot that you can do. I like to think of Padova as a place, where there's something for everyone. So it's a really enriching experience. Yeah. There are student jobs within the university, and jobs that you can do outside the university. Of course, as a student, you're allowed to work only 20 hours maximum per week, so you might want to think about that. During the summer, I remember I worked in there's different kinds of work that you can do. You can work in, bars or restaurants or hotels, let's say basic jobs that you would want to do. And then there's also, with the university, I worked at some point as a tutor buddy. So that's basically somebody who helps receive new students. So when the new students come, I would be their first point of reference. I would need to help them with procedures related to their residence permit, to finishing their enrollment, and to showing them around the city, showing them around the university, and things like that. It's called a tutor buddy. So that was one kind of work that I did, collaborating with the university, which was also quite nice as an experience, to meet students. And then there's also other jobs like working in the library. I have a friend of mine who works in the library, so you take some hours to work in the library, to give books and to record and things like that. And there are certainly other jobs you can work in the university restaurant. You can work in, yeah, I mean, those are the ones I can think of for now. But there's both jobs inside the university that you can do, and there's also jobs you can do outside the university. In inventory is a pretty common one, where you go out and carry out inventories in different grocery stores around Padova. That's a common one that students have noticed here in Padova do. As well as the ones in shops, in restaurants, in hotels, in some bars, and things like that. Also, during the summer, there's a lot of that, those jobs for tourist guides and things like that. So there is, I think, a good market for student jobs. So whatever your course is about, identify what is a problem that you want to fix, whether it's on a global level, whether it's in your national level. Identify what it is you want to work towards as a person, and identify how the scholarship is going to help you achieve that, and what would be the impact of your life's work, so to say. And be as specific as you can, be as genuine as you can. This is the advice I would give, is that go for it, try, just try and see. Many people are usually discouraged to do these kinds of things even before they try. They're going to hear from somebody who's going to say, these things are difficult, these things are expensive. But what I can say is that from all the people that I've met studying here in Italy, all the students I've met around Italy, they have all faced some kind of challenge, whether financially or I don't know. They have faced some bureaucratic challenges when they were coming, but none of them regrets the decision to come here. I'm yet to meet somebody who says, I should have just kept that money and not paid the admission fee. I'm yet to meet somebody who says that, because what Italy, or maybe what studying abroad, let me use that term, what studying abroad gives you is much more valuable than just the money. It gives you exposure, it gives you access, to opportunities that are not accessible to other people. And regardless of what your goal is, if you want to work later in Italy, or in Europe, in America, or even want to work back home in your country, in Africa, whatever country it is, the exposure that it gives you is priceless, and this is something that is worth going through the whole process. Yeah. My name, Ngosa, on LinkedIn would be probably the best, most convenient place to reach out to me, and yeah.